the art of self-mastery. Welcome to our show, where we delve into the art of self-mastery. What if the very politeness you've been taught is actually a sophisticated form of self-sabotage, a hidden barrier to your own success? Today, we'll challenge the conventional wisdom that suggests being agreeable is always a virtue and explore a more powerful path. The invisible script. We're about to pull back the curtain on the invisible script, the subconscious programming that dictates your every move. Are you the true author of your life? Or are you merely an actor reciting lines from a story you didn't write? This internal narrative, installed in childhood, quietly shapes your destiny unless you choose to seize the pen yourself. Why do our good intentions, like being helpful and loyal, often backfire in the real world? Pouring loyalty into someone who doesn't return it is like trying to fill a bucket with gaping holes. You exhaust your own resources while the vessel remains stubbornly empty. It's a constant, draining performance of giving that ultimately leaves you with nothing but the hollow echo of your own efforts. A relationship without reciprocity isn't a partnership. It's a slow spiritual bankruptcy. How does one break free from this deep social programming without becoming a recluse? Think of your mind as a computer that came with pre-installed software, the social programming you inherited. To break free, you must become a programmer who audits their own source code, identifying and deleting the lines of code that cause you to automatically please others or fear conflict. You then consciously write new, more powerful commands based on your own chosen values, rebooting your entire operating system. What is the first practical step to reclaiming control from our people-pleasing instincts? A compromise journal is your personal archaeological dig site, where each entry is like brushing away dust from a forgotten artifact. You begin to unearth the patterns of your own submission, revealing the foundations of a city you abandoned long ago, your true, sovereign self. By mapping these ruins, you find a blueprint to rebuild that city, stronger and more magnificent than before. The inner fortress. Now, let's construct the inner fortress, a concept that flips the script on conventional power. True strength isn't found in dominating the world around you, but in achieving unshakable control over your own mind. This is where you become immune to external manipulation and build a foundation of unshakable inner sovereignty. How can we stop being slaves to our emotions and instead use them as tools? Your emotions are not your masters. They're simply data feeds, like a sophisticated weather report for your internal world. They provide crucial information about your environment and your values, but they should never be allowed to grab the steering wheel. The true art is to read the data, thank it for the information, and then consciously choose your direction. Can you explain how to reframe a negative emotion like anger into a productive force? Anger is pure energy, like the fire in a blacksmith's forge, which can either be wildly destructive or intensely creative. A master blacksmith doesn't let the fire rage uncontrollably. He contains and directs it to transform a lump of iron into a sharp, purposeful sword. In the same way, you can channel the heat of your anger to forge clearer boundaries or fuel a powerful drive for change. Why is discipline more about freedom than restriction in our age of digital distraction? Discipline isn't a cage. It's the key that unlocks true freedom in a world engineered to enslave your attention. Building systems and habits is like constructing a mighty dam. You're not stopping the river of your energy. You're channeling its immense power toward a single, magnificent purpose. Without that structure, your potential just dissipates into a shallow, muddy swamp of distraction. What is this concept of the inner shadow, and why is embracing our dark side essential for becoming whole? The inner shadow is the collection of all the powerful, primal parts of yourself you were taught to suppress: your ambition, your aggression, your righteous anger. Integrating it is like finding a wild, magnificent beast chained in your basement and realizing it's not a monster to be slain, but a powerful ally to be tamed. Unleashing that energy under your conscious control is the final step to becoming truly whole. The power of the unseen. We now enter the realm of the power of the unseen, where the rules of social dynamics are often the opposite of what they appear. In a world that celebrates noise, the person who truly commands attention and respect is often the one who has mastered the art of saying nothing at all. Their silence speaks louder than anyone else's words, creating a gravitational pull that reshapes the entire conversation. How can silence be used as a strategic tool in a conversation or negotiation? A deliberate pause in a conversation creates a social vacuum, a moment of uncomfortable silence that most people rush to fill. In their haste to close that void, they often reveal their true intentions, their hidden insecurities, or the extra piece of information you were looking for. It's a conversational magic trick where you get them to hand you the keys without ever asking for them. How do we learn to read the subtle social dynamics that most people miss? Most people are so absorbed in their own thoughts that they're blind to the rich tapestry of nonverbal cues unfolding right in front of them. Learning to observe these signals, the subtle shifts in posture, the fleeting micro expressions is like learning to watch a movie with the sound off. The actions, not the words, reveal the true plot and the hidden relationships between the characters. Why is it sometimes smarter to appear less intelligent than you actually are? Revealing your intelligence too early is like showing your best cards at the start of a poker game. It makes you a target and puts everyone else on the defensive. Strategic ignorance, or playing the curious student, is like a submarine running silent to gather intelligence. You let others reveal their positions and strategies, giving you a complete map of the battlefield before you make your first move. The strategic dance. Let's move on to the strategic dance, a concept that challenges the simplistic advice to just be yourself. In a world of complex social interactions, the goal isn't to have a single, rigid identity, but to be your most effective self in any given situation. This isn't about being fake. It's about having the wisdom to deploy the right part of your authentic personality at the right time. How can we adapt our behavior to different situations without feeling like a fake? This isn't about wearing fake masks. It's about having a toolbox of your own authentic facets and knowing which one to use for the job at hand. A master craftsman doesn't use a sledgehammer to fix a watch. He selects the precision screwdriver. And that's not being dishonest, it's being effective. Authentic adaptation is the skill of matching the appropriate part of your true self to the demands of the moment. What is the secret to saying no without feeling guilty or damaging relationships? Saying no is not an act of aggression. It's an act of self-respect that builds a protective fence around your most valuable resources, your time and energy. A powerful way to do this is the sandwich method: a positive opening, the clear and direct no, and a helpful alternative or positive closing. This approach is not a wall that shuts people out, but a gate that you control, earning you more respect, not less. How should we build a network of allies that actually supports our growth? Stop collecting friends and start building a council of allies based on mutual growth and shared values. Think of yourself as the dedicated gardener of your own life. You must consciously decide which plants to nurture and which weeds to pull before they drain the soil of its nutrients. A curated inner circle is not ruthless. It's the highest form of strategic self-care. The infinite game. Finally, we arrive at the infinite game, a profound shift in perspective that redefines the very meaning of success. The most dangerous illusion is that there's a finish line, a final summit where you can finally rest. Life isn't a finite game with a winner and a loser. It's an infinite game where the only goal is to keep playing with ever-increasing skill and wisdom. How do we avoid the trap of complacency after achieving a major success? Success is not a destination. It's a base camp for the next, more challenging ascent. The moment you treat a victory as a summit to rest on, you've already begun your descent into complacency and irrelevance. The true master celebrates the milestone, integrates the lessons learned, and immediately sets their sights on the next, higher peak. What is the most powerful way to build resilience against the inevitable crises of life? The strongest steel is forged not just in fire, but by being repeatedly heated, hammered, and then plunged into ice-cold water. Practicing voluntary discomfort, taking cold showers, fasting, or pushing your physical limits is the psychological equivalent of this process. You are deliberately hardening your mind and spirit in controlled environments, so you become unbreakable when the real storms of life hit. What is the final, ultimate battle that a self-sovereign person must face? The final dragon you must slay is not an external enemy, but the seductive whisper of your own voice of convenience that begs for comfort and delay. This internal battle against your own desire for ease is the ultimate test of self-mastery. When you can consistently choose the harder, more meaningful path, you have achieved true sovereignty.